once they have participated in these interactive art experiences, we sit down at dinner. And I sort of curate the tables too, because I want to make sure that people aren't sitting with somebody they came with, or somehow they find their other liberals, in the group. Because, you always gravitate. You always can kind of figure out who your like-minded people are. And so I actually assign people to tables to make sure that there's a good diversity of political ideology at the table. I aspire to have diversity along all kinds of, in all kinds of ways: age, racial diversity, certainly gender diversity. I don't always achieve that, but that is certainly a goal. But the main diversity I'm looking for is political ideology. So I make sure that people have that at their tables. So they're still not allowed to talk about politics yet. For the first course, what we asked people to do was bring in an object that sort of symbolizes their connection to their community or their feelings about being American, something that sort of symbolizes who they are. And the first course is for people to tell their story about their object, and everybody takes a turn. So what's so important about that is the humanizing effect of the storytelling. It's really important that we see each other as humans before we even get into some hard conversation about immigration or, gun control, anything. Because if you don't see each other as humans, it's almost impossible to have those kind of conversations. And, as we all know, there are so many conversations that take place over inhuman ways. It's like through social media. It's literally looking at an avatar. It's so inhumane. And so I find it so important that we humanize one another first. Finally, we get to talk about politics for the second course. That's when we pose questions to one another that we begin with this question of what does it mean to be American? But what we're really trying to get at is asking people to go really deep and as raw as they feel comfortable with, hopefully pushing them beyond their normal comfort levels to tell, what are their feelings, what are their personal stories? Because at the end of the day, we can barely even, we can look at the same set of data and facts and interpret them differently and argue about that stuff, but you can't deny a person's humanity. You can't deny the truth of a person's story. And so when we talk about these bigger policy issues, I encourage people to ground those discussions in their personal experience and not try to cite articles and data that, does not give the full story at all. And I think that, in a weird way, one of the things that I feel indicate that there's some success to this is often people are like, well, they'll leave and say, I didn't think that there would be so much agreement, or I wish that there had been more disagreement. I'm like, this is the point, people. That's the point. When we get to our humanity, when we talk about our shared humanity, we have a lot of agreement. And so we can try to focus on that before we talk about policy issues. I think talking about policy issues will be a lot more effective.